Hey Thunkers, and welcome to this tutorial where we will learn how to design and program an app that lets us pick our own avatars. Now this will be a three-part tutorial where in this video we will learn how to design and program our app so that we can pick different avatars, and in the next two videos we will learn how to incorporate this idea of picking characters into apps like games. So let's take a look at what we're going to be building today. So this is what our app looks like. We have our first screen, which tells us to pick an avatar. So maybe I want to pick Rolly. I can click the select button, and it'll give me some information about Rolly the panda. And if I like Rolly, I can click start. If I don't, I can go back and maybe pick Leo instead. So that's what we're going to be building today. Before jumping right into the app building, I always find it helpful to think about things like the layout, the design, and the functionality of my app. So let's think about the things that we'll need for this app. I want to be able to pick from 3 different avatars, so that means I'll need 3 different images. For your app, you can use any images that you like. I used Canva to design my images, and then I saved them onto my computer. Then I added the images to the file section on Thunkable so that I have them ready to go whenever I need them. Next, what do I want the layout of my app to look like? I'll definitely need a screen where I can see all the players and pick the one that I want. And I also want to be able to pick a different player if I change my mind after reading the description. So that means I'll definitely need 3 more screens, one for each player. Okay, so now I have a good idea of what I'll need. So let's start by adding in the screens. So I said I needed 4 screens. So I have screen 1 and I'll add in 3 more. Now, as I'm building, I like to rename things so that way when I go back to them, I know exactly what they are. So the first screen, the main screen, will be my pick avatar screen. My second screen will be the screen for avatar 1. And then my third screen will be my screen for avatar 2. And the fourth screen will be the screen for avatar 3. Okay, so let's start with the pick an avatar screen. This is going to be the screen where I can pick an avatar. So if we look back at the finished product, this is what we want. We want 3 different avatars side by side, and we want to have their image, their name, and a select button for them. So now let's replicate this and see what components that we need. The first thing that I'll add in is a row. And I'm just going to come to the properties panel here on the right, and I'll change the height to fit contents and the width to fit contents. And all this will do is that no matter what we put inside this row component, it will only be the height of our largest thing and only be the width of our largest thing. Now within this row, I want to add 3 columns, one for each avatar. Now, inside each of these columns, I want to add in an image component, and this will be for the image of each of the avatars. And now I will add a label inside each of the columns, and this will be where the name of each avatar is displayed. Now you can sort of see how all of this is squished together. So I'm going to go back to each of the columns, and I'm going to make the height and width of them to be fit contents as well. I'm also going to change the size of each of the images because right now they're taking up a lot of space. So I'll go to the properties panel for each image, and I'll say absolute size, and I'll set it to 70 for each of them. So this would be a good place to pause and rename all of the components that you have, so that way you know what you're referencing to. For example, for this image, for in the avatar 1 column, I'm going to change it to avatar 1 image, and I'll change the label to avatar 1 label, just so I know what the things are. Another thing that I'll do is that for each of the columns, I'm going to go down to the margin property in the properties panel on the right. And for the left and right, I'm just going to change these to 10 for every single column. So it creates some spacing between each of the columns and they're not crushed together. So I initially put in 10 for all of them, but I changed it to 5. You'll have to play around with it a little bit and see what numbering works best for you. So we're almost done with the designing part. What we can do now is change the images for all our avatars. And remember that we had put in our icons and images in the file section on Thunkable. So for each image, I'm going to go over here on the right for picture, and I will select the image. So maybe I want the dog first, and then image 2, I want the panda, and then for image 3, I want the lion. Likewise, you can name these avatars whatever you want. So for the label, I'll set the text to Max, Rolly, and Leo. And the last thing you might want to do here is add some spacing between all of these components in the column. And you can do that by clicking on each of the components, going into the margin, and adding some space. So maybe I'll add a bottom margin of 3, add a top and bottom margin of 3, and you can see it moving on your screen. There's some space being created. And we'll do this for every single avatar in each column. Another thing you can do is add in a background for this screen. And I designed my background on Canva like I did for my image icon, so you can go do that over there as well. So I'll just add that in from the files into background picture. Okay, cool. So now let's just live test our app really quickly to make sure it looks like how we wanted it to look. And it looks good. So now we can move on to the Avatar 1 screen. The Avatar 1, Avatar 2, and Avatar 3 screens are all exactly the same, so we'll need the same components in each of them. Now remember that this is the screen that you'll see that has the description, image, and name of the avatar that you selected. It will also have 2 buttons, one to go back and pick a different one, and one to start. So the first thing I'll add in is a column. Again, I'll set the height and width to fit contents. Now inside this column, I will add in an image. I will also add a label, and I'll add a row, and the row will have 2 buttons side by side. Again, you can use the margin property to make some spaces between your components. Now you're going to add in the exact same components for the Avatar 2 screen and the Avatar 3 screen. Okay, so I've gone ahead and added in the exact same components for Avatar 2 screen and Avatar 3 screen. And at this point, again, you should rename all of your components that you added in so that you know what each of them is. Now, another thing that you will add to each of these screens is a label that will go at the very top of the screen, and this will be the title that will say, for example, Max the dog. Again, for each of the screens, I'm going to change the text of the buttons. So the first button will have a text that says back, so I can go back and pick a different avatar. And the second button will say start. And that will be the same on each of the screens. Another thing that we'll do for each of the screens is change the label at the top to be the name of the avatar. So I'll do Max the dog. You can change the font size to be whatever you want. So I'll do 28. And here you can also change the image to be the image of Avatar 1 by picking a picture. And for this label underneath the picture, you're just going to type in a small little description about who your character is and maybe what they like. The final thing to do on each of the screens is to add a background. So again, I can just change the background picture here by picking one from my files. Okay, so I have finished designing all of my screens. Avatar 1, Avatar 2 screen, and Avatar 3 screen all look good. The last thing left to do is program this app. So we're going to go to the blocks editor for that. The programming for this app is very simple. The only thing that we need to program on the Pick Avatar screen is if someone clicks any of the buttons. So if someone selects Avatar 1, then we will go to the Avatar 1 screen, and we can program that like this. We'll click on the Avatar 1 button drawer and grab the One Avatar 1 button click block, And we'll click on this control drawer and grab the navigate to block and connect it here. Now we'll change navigate to avatar 1. So again, what this is doing is that when we select avatar 1, it will take us to the avatar 1 screen. We're going to do the same for avatar 2 and avatar 3. Now let's program the avatar 1 screen. Remember that on this screen we have two buttons that we can program. We have a button to go back and pick a different avatar or select the current one. So to do this, we'll go to the back button drawer and say when back button is clicked, then we go back to the pick avatar screen. So we can just grab the navigate to block from the control drawer. And in the next video of this tutorial, we'll learn what to do with the start button. So don't worry about that for now. We're going to do the exact same thing on the avatar 2 screen and avatar 3 screen now. Okay, so now on each of the screens, I've added the same thing. And that's it. Now we've created an app where you can pick your own avatar, and we'll see in the later tutorials how to incorporate this into different apps. Let's live test this and see if it works. So I'll click the live test button. Here is my app that has 3 options for avatars that I can pick. Let's go with Max. Okay, so maybe I don't want to choose Max. Let's go back. It should take us back to the pick avatar screen. Let's pick Leo instead. So there you go, our app works. At this point, you can change the font, you can change the color, you can make things different sizes, so you can design it however you like. That's it for this video, and in the next video, we'll learn how to incorporate picking avatars into a scavenger hunt game. Thanks for thunking!